The albino rat color scheme is going to come to its true test on this new video where I try to tackle the rat ogres from the Skaven box. These models are large, they're full of patchy fur coats, and they've got a lot of skin to work with. So this is going to be, I think, the perfect showcase of the color scheme that I've been trying to do. I have also heard your requests to be more specific with the paints that I'm using, so I will be putting the names of all of the paints down below in the description, and I will show them on screen as well so you guys can reference it if you want to try to do this color scheme for yourself. Now let's get painting. I immediately went against my final thoughts from my last video, and I know, and I'm so sorry, but after looking at these larger models, I thought they needed more dimension and more color difference since it's going to be more obvious in the rat ogres. So I went with the darker purple in the shading with the lighter to medium pink as the base undercoat. In my head, I came to the conclusion that the light pink would work great for a whole bunch of small models like the clan rats, but once it comes to something bigger, it wasn't going to work. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Maybe I just am going with my gut feeling and what feels right. And right now, what felt right was doing the purple and the pink. After going through all the pink while doing the Orchid Mantis Tyranids, I had to go get some more. So I actually replaced these with some GW paints. So for this, I'm using Pink Horror as the base pink color with Screamer Pink for the undercoat. These paints kind of sound like Tyranid colors anyway, so they could be useful in the future. After that, I went in with the white to do some dry brushing. I decided to go with a white that was slightly off-white, not pure white. So I went with a extremely light gray and then went on top of it with pure white after. And I also took the wonderful advice from a commenter that said that dry brushing should be in one direction, and I went in the downward direction, all of it in the same way, so that way you can really see the colors underneath the crevices more, and it didn't just wash everything out. Okay, so this is the end of day one where I finished doing all of the airbrushing and then the dry brushing. And with paint schemes like these, or with models like these where you do most of the main color first, it's so much more satisfying to look at them and trust the process, so to speak, because it already starts to look so good immediately. I also think that taking the advice from one of my commenters to only dry brush in one direction helped not make it look so obvious, like so washed out white, which I feel like some of the others did, and actually showed some of those different toned undercoats that I was trying to do with my previous ones. I also think it helps that these models are so much bigger, so you get a chance to actually see that difference. And I'm just already really enjoying these models so much more than the clan rats. There's so much more to them, there's so much more unique. It's always more fun to do the bigger ones, as I've said before every time, but it always is so infectious the moment that I pick up something that's a lot more fun to paint and I'm like, okay, let's do it. Let's get into this painting. I'm getting really into it. So I'm gonna stop here for now, and then the next day I'm gonna start doing some of the other colors and make him start to come together. So see you then. It's the beginning of the next day and I started blocking in the places where there's going to be metal. This was a game changer in my last test because in the first time I was trying this, I noticed that I needed like 3 or 4 coats of the metallic paint in order for it to look even. But blocking it in first with black means that I only need to put 1, maybe 2 coats on, and it's already looking much better and much more metallic without looking thick. I also blocked in the base red color that's going to be for their skirts, and I added the leather and wood colors, and I'm basically just base coating all the rest of the other things that are going to be on the model that need a different color than the dry brushing. This step is usually so boring for me, but it's a necessary step, and it's gonna make the model turn out so much nicer if I spend just this little extra time doing especially the black blocking in. Once I got to see the base colors, I could tell that there was just something missing. The exposed skin on his back needed to be, I think, a distinctive color. He was starting to look too one-dimensional. So I thought that I would go in with a light pink over the parts that are obviously skin. And then go in with a slightly darker pink on their warts or bumps or whatever those are called to really make his skin look textured and like there are different parts of it. I also think it's important to show that where there are cuts or where there's things that would irritate the skin, that I make that skin color look an even deeper red and basically just that pure pink horror color that I had gotten. It really makes it look like these are either healing cuts or cuts that have a different texture to them so that he looks like a real creature with real cuts, if that makes sense. Plus, I feel like the armor and those gems would really irritate the skin around you, so it's the perfect place to put it. End of day 2, and this was probably the most boring part of this whole color scheme right now. Blocking in the black is just so tedious. It's probably the most tedious part of this whole thing, but so essential to making that armor look better. And I know I have to do it, but it was a slog. Thankfully, it's only 3 guys, and they're mostly just like bulky, muscular ogre guys, so they don't really have a lot of armor. You know, it only took some time, and while boring for my brain, really wasn't that much work, especially for the benefit that you're gonna get out of it. I gotta say though, I'm already loving how these guys are turning out, and they're definitely going to be the best rats I've painted so far. They're looking so just interesting. I'm loving the skin and the fur, and I just can't wait for them to be done, but I'm not done yet, and I need to keep my eyes on the prize and make sure that I don't miss anything essential. So I'm gonna stop for now, and I'm gonna come back tomorrow to really sort of finish up everything that I need. I think I'll be able to do the rest in one more serious session. I'm really hoping I do, because I want to get this video out to you guys because I'm so excited for how they're turning out. So I'm gonna stop now. I'm gonna go the next day. I will talk to you then. Bye. This is hopefully the last day I'm working on this, and we're going straight into the metal armor. I added a base color steel, and after that I decided I really wanted them to have a bit more detail to the metal, and it took me a second to figure out what to do. I thought they were looking pretty flat, and then I remembered the most essential mini painting technique that has been praised all over: edge highlighting. I took a lighter silver color and I got my brush and I highlighted the edges of every single piece of that armor, and I think it makes a huge difference. The edges look like they're sort of shining as if there's some sun glinting off of it, and just really makes those different ridges and the different textures of the armor pop out, and I'm really glad I did this. Especially at a tabletop distance, these are really going to stand out. Once those are all based and highlighted, I went in with the wash to make the crevices look a little bit darker and to have the last bit of dimension needed for this armor. I did, however, notice something a little strange happen with the armor after I put in the wash and the wash fully dried. It looks like some of the metallics in places just washed off completely. It almost looked black again, and I had to go back in with a little bit more paint to fix what I could. I don't know if I'm missing something, because I don't remember this happening with my metallics before, and I've been using this brand and this wash now for several months without any issues, so maybe I didn't let it dry enough. I'm not sure, but it was an easy fix and we moved on. Now to one of my absolute favorite parts, and that is highlighting their cloth skirt things. With the Army Painter Pure Red very thin down, I ended up putting a really light coat or two over the raised parts of the cloth to make them really pop out. And this really makes the model look so much better, and all it took was maybe 20 minutes tops of just sort of getting on top of there with the pure red under the more maroon red that I had. Some of the places where they stand out the most, I maybe put one extra coat, and these cloth armor are looking great. The final piece to get these guys done were the stone crystals embedded into their skin. I didn't want to mess this up, but I didn't want to take too much longer because my goal was to really finish tonight. So I decided to go with a tried and true green speed paint. I figured since all of their gems were basically already highlighted when I did my dry brushing, because I did not do those parts, that a speed paint will really just emphasize the parts that are highlighted and be really vibrant on the white or near white base coat that I have. And I personally think it worked perfectly. It looks like those edges are really sharp and is a really vibrant green color, and I couldn't be more happy with how this turned out, especially for the amount of time that I spent, which was seconds. Then I super watered down what was basically left on my paintbrush after all of that speed painting in order to make some sort of glowy effect around it. And when I mean watered down, I mean it was like 90% water, as if you're trying to clean off your brush and there was still a little bit of extra paint on it. That's basically what I used, and put it very lightly around the edges of where the green gem would glow, and bam, you've got yourself a really, really easy, really fast OSL look. Then we're off to our usual basing, and they are done. I am so proud of these ogres. You guys have no idea. I feel like these are the best rats that I've painted so far, and probably some of the best models I've done in a while to me. It's just such a big confidence booster to be proud of something that you've completed, and it just feels like finally everything came together, especially when in the very beginning of all of this, trying out this paint scheme, I wasn't happy and I was very, very frustrated. And now seeing it finally turn out after all these tests and trials is just really gratifying, and I'm so happy. I think this really proves that if you are consistent with your goal and wanting to try and improve and doing all these tests and experiments, that they really help you grow and learn as a painter, and you'll eventually come out with something that you'll be really proud of. And I especially want to thank all of you guys in the comments who have given me so much encouragement and advice and things like that to get this paint scheme where it is. Like, I kept testing and trying things out, but if it wasn't for your guys' advice and me actually trying out everything that you guys have said, I don't think that they would be looking like this. I think they'd be looking way worse. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I love hearing all of your guys' comments and trying new things and really just experimenting with new ways to paint models and new colors. So if you like what I do, please subscribe, as I'm going to be making much more painting vlogs. And as always, keep painting. I'll see you guys later. Bye.